Any which way. I love having you here, Rosie. It's a chance for me to get to know you. And what happens is our conversation is recorded and then we share it. Our coffee connections are designed to help those people that log on with us. And if not, they're shared so everyone can play it back. So let's dive in. First of all, would you kindly tell me a little bit more about you, your passion, what you do, and then our audience will get to hear that.
Okay. All right. So I'm Rosie Fox, and I am a grief specialist and a drug and alcohol counselor. Been doing this for many years, over 30 years is the counseling, and then I got into grief specific probably about 2007, but then got certified in 2013 by Grief Recovery Institute, and then other institutions. I've been working on more certifications there. And what I love about this kind of work, the passion that I have for this, is that, you know, and it was through actually my own process, because I've been working with tons of people, especially in treatment,
Right.
working with them on a day. And what I found was when my mother died, I was doing all the right things, the stages of grief and, you know, all that stuff. And what I realized is that I was not equipped to handle my grief. I could handle everybody else's grief, but I did not have the tools to handle mine. I was teaching it, but I was teaching a lot from the intellectual basis. And it was the heart that needed to be grieved. I could get other people to get into their heart, but I had so much mistaken beliefs about who I was and as a professional and who I needed to be. And everybody else had put me on this so-called perception that when it was time for me to find some place to land and grieve and feel safe, there was no place. Not even therapists. I mean, I would go to therapists, I would go to support groups, and there was probably a lot in me that was keeping the wall up. But it was all about, you know, the stages. And I had common responses to grief. I didn't realize there was shame in grief. I didn't realize self-esteem gets rocked when you're in grief. That hopelessness, that purposelessness, all that happens. And the most powerless feeling I ever had was grief. You know, anger is very empowering, but grief is just so de-empowering. And so what I realized is that I wanted to help not only my clients and my patients, but I wanted to help other professionals where it didn't have a place to land. I see my husband's a NICU nurse, and he works at a local hospital, Riverside. And I see all what he comes home with, you know, the devastation and the nurses. And, you know, they don't even have a debriefing anymore with their traumas. They used to get 20 minutes of debriefing after trauma. A baby dies, a mother dies, and then they're on to another client, another patient. And so because there's like right now, it's even worse. Because of the coronavirus, they ended up getting all kinds of help thinking, you know, just being reactive. And now the hospitals are losing money. They didn't get hit like they thought they were going to get hit. And now they're closing units. They're laying off nurses. And now it's getting tighter. So the dangerous factor in it is huge. It's stressful for a nurse that, just like any professionals, nurse, doctor, psychiatrist, psychologist, you know, we are dedicated to do no harm. Do no harm. And so then they take it home. It's not a job that they can leave at work. They take it home. And then on top of it, maybe they're taking care of a mother, you know, also, or grandmother, or their children are sick or whatever. They're like, we're the sandwich generation for most of us. And so we have our own grief at home. And so we're supposed to, you know, take care of other people's grief and then take care of our grief. And where is a place for us?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You described most women's hearts too, by the way. I mean, that is something that the not only contemporary woman, but the woman of the past, which is my generation, you know, we are to be everything. We are to be a mother, grandmother. We are to be a businesswoman. We are to figure out technology and evolve with it. We are to park ourselves and we are to keep busy. That's great. Thank you so much for that. So one of the greatest things that I discovered in this coronavirus stay home order is time to slow down, time to reevaluate.
Oh, yeah.
time to compare it to the pace that we were all keeping, time to see what we miss, and time
Yes.
to figure out what we will do differently if life returns back to those older ways. And I just thought when I was introduced to you, Rosie, and how right now there are some of us that are functioning really well.
Mm-hmm.
It feels better. It feels like a brand new life, release on life, more exercise, better food, better pace. And then there is everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it has, for those that have lost their job, there's some grieving there. There's
Oh,
some anxiety and fear there. There's bills
exactly.
that are piling. And whether or not you're the main breadwinner or whether or not you're half of that breadwinner, that stops the flow of safety that you felt before, that false sense of safety. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's two groups out there. So I wanted to bring you in, and I think a lot of what you said was really powerful just in the few minutes. But what are some tips that we can offer? What are some advice that we can offer to keep ourselves functioning, to keep ourselves moving towards the goal, whatever that is? Obviously, we've all lost our personal control as we saw it before.
Yeah.
And that's really, as we talked about that book that we read, Who Moved My Cheese,
Yeah.
really and truly, that's what's happening here is someone has moved where we thought our normal was and where we thought our base was, and our control has been taken from us. And there's a lot of people grieving for this. So tell me something that we could advise our folks to keep them healthy, happy, in a good place.
Well, one of the things I'm going to tell you, spot on, tell the truth. You need to tell the truth. You need to find a safe person. You know, I always talk about what I love to do is bring a village to people. You need to have your village. You need to have your front row women or men in your life that you can go tell the truth to. Because what we keep inside creates a monster, and it becomes a bad neighborhood up here in your head. Nobody should be alone in.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you tell the truth and tell your story, it really takes the sales out of it, you know, it takes the power out of it. And you can then really look at it in reality and have somebody there that will listen, not just try to, you know, fix you and analyze or criticize you, because then you just start to go down and keep it in. You
Right.
know, we don't need that. We just need a listening ear. We need to be able to tell the truth. We need to be able to look at, have somebody, you know, that we trust to say, hey, you know, you start seeing me isolate, call me out on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not eating right. You need to, you know, ask me. I mean, I'm giving you carte blanche to support me in this way, you know. And if I get upset with you, say, you know, I love you. You told me to do this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
worried about you.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
know, make sure that you're sleeping, you know, make sure that you are also looking at, you know, having somebody be able to, you know, ask you, or you just share about your story, about this is the fears I'm having, and then bring it to fruition. Like, wait a minute, let's look at what are the challenges, what are the choices we have. We may not like the choices, but they might not be as bad as you think. You know what I mean? Because when we feel powerless, we feel we have no choice,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but we do. But what happens is that we don't even tell anybody that we're suffering or
Mm-hmm.
that we're in fear. And that's what happened to me when I had my loss. Is I just kept it all inside because of that, those looks people gave me when I said I'm struggling, and they go, oh, you can't be struggling, you know how to do this. So then I put the Academy Award recovery face on, and I put my high heels and just went on to keep him busy, right? 9 months later, I ended up having anxiety, panic attacks, paranoia, and I couldn't get out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would love for people not to get to that place, you
Mm-hmm.
know, be able to tell the truth, to be able to take, you know, see the doctor. They need to see the doctor. They need to take their, you know, healthy eating, exercise, you know, going out and talking to people and being honest and just finding out what is, you know, what is really, like, we know that this is going to pass.
Right.
There's going to be challenges.
Right.
Reality is challenges. but we know that we've weathered quite a bit and we will weather this.
Mhm.
We need hope. We need
Yeah.
somebody to just really help us pour into hope with us,
Right.
know?
Right. That's great. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, so when you say tell the truth, I hear that as identify what really is the root and share it with someone safe. That's what I hear. And you
Mhm.
said a couple
And the
things.
more you let them talk,
Say again.
the more you let them talk and get this all out, the more they will see the reality of it. The more they will see their options. The more they will see, oh, that's crazy thinking, kind of thing.
Mhm.
You won't even have to point it out.
That's wonderful. And it's true. A lot of times it's just a matter of processing. I know from a female standpoint, I tend to process on the outside. And, there's so much going on in here. And when I say it out loud, it becomes a shape. A
Right.
shape. This is like jelly in here, and it becomes a shape here. And I can look at that shape and say, oh, that doesn't make sense, or that's not yet this. So talking about it really does help. And I guess from, let's say, a husband and wife that are home, and you're spending a lot of time together or
Right.
apart, you need to be together. So, I think the best advice I could give to a husband is, let them talk it out. Let a woman talk it out. Don't try to fix it for her.
Hmm.
Come alongside of her, embrace her, show that you heard it,
Right.
because that's probably the best thing that I can say is that you heard what she has to say and that you love her in spite of what she said. And
And know that for men, they bring their tool belt. They put their tool belt on.
mm,
It's just automatic. And to be aware of that. And one of the things I realize is that not only do you allow them to share, you're being the heart with ears,
right,
and showing compassion,
right,
and compassion to yourself. Because if I'm working on myself and I have compassion for myself, I'm going to be not so judgmental and not compassionate with you, right? It starts with us, and then we can do that with other people.
let's flip that around for a second, because both you and I obviously are female. So what's some advice to women to deal with their strong man? And think about it. So a man is a protector. And
Hmm.
right now, those that have been laid off or those that have been furloughed, they're facing a lot of self-failure in their head. I mean, that's a perception. There's a lot of
Right.
going on that's being held in. I mean, most men will not bring that to the surface. So as a woman, how can you come alongside and support your man in this time?
Well, one of the things I know, and that's interesting you say that, because of my husband, being married and watching him, and there's a lot of times I see him, and he tends to kind of recluse and isolate with his feelings and bring up that strong man thing, and the last yesterday, in fact, he said, I got to get off this Facebook and this media thing. And it's so true, because that is hammering on him what he's not
All
doing,
of us.
what he needs to do, all that. And
Yes.
so we really do need to tune out of that stuff.
Yeah, in doses. I have
Dose
friends
it.
who say that, give yourself a diet. It's no different than alcohol,
Yeah.
Give
Yeah,
yourself a diet choice.
exactly. Exactly. And so, when I see him, kind of getting into his isolation, and you can see when people get on Facebook and they start perusing it, they're looking for connection,
Right,
and
right,
very disconnected.
right. Yeah, I think you're right about that. And yeah, you're right. Connection is at the root of that,
So
Absolutely.
So for him and some men, they love wilderness, gardening, all that. And, I went out there and I was pulling some weeds. And I said, I didn't realize how busy I was and how nice this is. I really am enjoying myself. I said, well, I'd love for you to come out here if you want. I mean, remember how you love this stuff? He goes, yeah, I know. And the next day he went out there and he said, oh my gosh, you were so right. Like just kind of pointing out, gosh, remember, what really helped us, let's go take a walk. And I think for men and women, when they walk side by side, just two, when I pick them up from school, I get the most conversation because they're right next to me. I'm
Right.
not looking at them saying, tell me how you feel. I want to know
Right.
into your brain. They shut down
It's
automatically.
true. It's true. I think you're right. That's awesome. Well, so we come alongside of our man. Um, we understand that they may not want to talk about it, what they're going through, and be patient with the
Mm.
process of
Yes.
everything because it's out of their control too. So I
Mhm.
guess that's, and obviously I remember men like to be respected. So I
Yeah.
mean, I, as a strong woman, it's no secret that I have, at my times, barked out orders, and people don't take it well, and especially people in that position where they are on a hiatus um, from leading.
Mhm.
They don't need another leader coming alongside and barking out orders at this time.
No, no, and you're so right. And it happens for the best of us. Happens to me all the time. I have insert foot, and it's like the more I think, I think more than anything, if I just lift him up,
Right.
encourage him. Like, I said today when he was leaving for work, I said, I am just so proud of you. And I am just so grateful that you're going and taking all these risks. I can't even imagine, honey. I love you so much, And he's like, really? And you just need to just realize what they're going through, you
Right.
know, taking care of us like you do.
Yeah. All of our men and women that are on the front lines. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this is great.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, having a connection like yourself,
Hmm.
having a safe place to share that grief, share that struggle, I couldn't possibly imagine. I mean, just a closing note is that each one of us has this little secret conversation in our heads, how we perceive ourselves, our beliefs that have come alongside of us. We have this
Hmm.
mask that we wear to the general public. And
Hmm.
it isn't always, not everybody has it, but those of us that do,
Hmm.
uh, don't always feel like we should dump the garbage out in open. It's just, it would deteriorate friendships, relationships, etc. And at the same time, it also crumbles the mask. So having someone like yourself that's safe, that a place to park and say, okay, this is where we work on this. This is
Hmm.
where we get in touch with this.
Hmm.
Those are the things that help us advance and change and become the person that we want to become. Because I know we all have our wish of who we'd become. And this is a great
Right.
opportunity to get in touch with that. So if somebody, during the shut-in time, if somebody has a desire to get started, can they use this forum, this like Zoom, to reach out to you during these
Oh,
times?
yeah, absolutely. I see clients all the time on Zoom right now because I can't see them individually. I even have a free grief support group that I'm doing right now to help people with the challenges, like clients that are, at home and other people that
Wow.
just are overwhelmed with this, and need that village around them.
Oh my
And one
goodness,
of the things
that would be
I just
great
wanted
to
to,
share.
I just wanted to mention is that, if you're trust your intuition too. So if an intuition says, I need to reach out and call somebody or give them a card or whatever, trust it. A lot of times we stop, trust our intuition, you know?
Absolutely, that gut instinct.
Hmm.
So would it be possible that after this message that you would send me the best way people can contact you,
Hmm.
especially in light of this group that you've formed? Because I guarantee some of our listeners will really have a desire to jump in there,
Hmm.
or send that link to a friend that they know might be in need. That would
Yeah,
be fabulous. That would be fabulous.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Any final words to those that are online with us today?
Well, I think more than anything, I think our belief systems, as you mentioned, very nicely, is that belief systems, some of them are good, some of them have caused havoc in our life, some of
Yes.
them don't serve us anymore.
Yeah.
And that's really what we need to do is be able to process what is our belief system and get back into what is kind, compassionate, and reality. I mean, even the belief systems about grief that we have to be strong, time heals. That's not true.
Yes.
Time heals with action and being vulnerable and being transparent and being yourself
Mhm.
and getting your head to your heart
Mhm.
helps you process because it's a significant relationship that we're processing with all people, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. one of the things that I can expand upon, I heard this great story that was very powerful to me about the power of beliefs in our own lives. So one of the things they do, there was a story of a man that was with his child at a circus, and there was a large, beautiful elephant, a full-grown elephant on a small little rope, and he came within distance from his son, and he was panicked. And I told the keeper, he says, "Wait a second, that beast is only by this tiny little rope." And he said, "But you don't understand, sir." He says, "The way we train these elephants from their tiny birth is we tie a small rope around their ankle and attach it to a tree until we break their will. And then they believe whenever they are attached to this rope that they cannot get away."
Right.
And to this day, as they become adults, all we need to do is tie this little rope. And they believe, even though they have the power to leave at any time, that has broken their will. And that's what beliefs do to us. They tie us, they keep us lassoed, and they limit us in what we can achieve.
You just brought to mind, thank you so much. The belief system also really, what really helps a lot is we have to get hope, as we talked about, right? For me personally, and I'm not, preaching to anybody, but God is my hope.
Yes.
And if I know, that He's got my back, and I have to spend time, I have to develop that relationship with Him in order to have that belief system.
Yes.
It would be like if I didn't have a relationship with my husband every day, I wouldn't have a belief system. I wouldn't trust him.
Yes.
So it's so important that we get in our morning time and have that spiritual time. Whatever your spiritual practice is, it's huge in this.
Yes.
Huge.
It's wonderful to reach out and know that God of the universe has your back and loves you exactly who you are in your imperfect way. He loves you anyway. And that gives you, you're right, and that relationship building is powerful and necessary. Wonderful.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if someone wants to get in touch with you, is there a website that you can lead them to?
Yes, they can go to healingourheartsnow.com. And they can always call me too, 951-719-9025.
Wonderful. That's great. And then maybe you can send me, after we log off, you can send me that contact if there's an email address you want to, so they can sign up for that that group that you were mentioning. That's powerful. Rosie, I am so grateful to you. This has been fabulous. I think that this will bring hope to so many that are sitting online, and I just thank you for your time, and I look forward to growing our relationship deeper.
Well, yes, and I just want to tell you, and I wanted to say at the beginning, I am so honored that you had me and that you wanted to talk to me. You are a beautiful woman. I mean, I'm just seeing you around lately. It's interesting, you're dynamic.
Thank you very much. It's my joy. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for working with a little bit of late. I'm sorry about that. It's not typically my style. So have a blessed day, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.